Alright, well, welcome back to the UFC Overload blog. I haven't posted any videos recently because there hadn't been a whole lot happening, so I hope you've been enjoying the beautiful galleries I've been posting of the UFC ring girls. Definitely have over here. So what I'm going to talk about right now is the situation with Carlos Condit, Nick Diaz, and the George St. Pierre love triangle thing they got going on. It's kind of weird, but I'll try and break it down for you a little bit to just give you the idea of what happened. Alright, so First, Nick Diaz is coming over to fight GSP, coming over from Strikeforce to fight for the title just straight up. Not even making him fight anyone else, which is kind of, I thought it was kind of weak, bringing anybody over without even one fight in the UFC to fight for a title. I'm not a fan of that at all. But Nick Diaz, man, he's a knuckle butt. He screwed around and he skipped some of the press conferences and like some PR events or something. So they knocked him off of the main card from fighting GSP to fighting BJ Penn, who Carlos Condit was scheduled to fight BJ Penn. So they just flip-flopped him. So GSP went to fight Carlos Condit and what's his face? Nick Diaz was going to fight BJ Penn. So that was two awesome fights that were going to happen. I was looking forward to seeing that card. But shut up, phone. But GSP got hurt, and so Carlos Condit, he knew that he was waiting in line for the next title fight, so he's a little vag about it. He didn't want to fight anybody. He said, "No, I'm just gonna wait for GSP till he gets better because it wasn't supposed to take too long." So Diaz goes out and he just completely works BJ Penn. I kind of saw that one coming. I love BJ Penn, but I just kind of saw that one coming. And so after that, it was still scheduled. It was going to be Carlos Condit versus GSP as soon as he got better. But then GSP breaks his knee off, gets an ACL tear or something like that. And so he can't fight till November, I believe. And Nick Diaz was pissed off about it. He was calling GSP out the whole time, saying he didn't want to fight him or Carlos Condit, just saying he doesn't fight like he used to. He just fights for points and he's scared. And so that was pissing off GSP. He said he wants to fight not Carlos Condit. He wants to fight Nick Diaz. He wants to put the worst beating on him that anyone in the UFC's ever seen. And so that was what's going to happen. They switched the fight from Condit and GSP back to the original GSP versus Nick Diaz. And then I'm sorry, I know I said there was a knee injury, but they switched the fight. They were going to fight. It was going to be Nick Diaz versus GSP. And then like a week later, GSP breaks his knee off. And that's when Nick Diaz got even more mad and started talking some bullshit, whatever. And then so they scheduled Nick Diaz versus Carlos Condit to fight for the interim welterweight championship while Homeboy was out in Canada, doing whatever. And so at the fight, two Saturdays ago, I was rooting for Nick Diaz. I'm not going to lie. I thought he was going to win. I wanted him to win. But he lost. He definitely lost. But it wasn't that good of a fight, really. Condit wasn't. He's called the natural born killer, but he wasn't showing it. He was kind of backing up the whole time, just kind of playing for points, just like GSP kind of does now, which sucks because he got the nickname Rush, but I definitely think he lost it. So Condit comes out, and it was a close fight. Condit won, but everybody was, up in arms about it, like, blah, blah, blah. And so they were looking at a rematch. Within the next 2 days of the fight, they announced that there would be a rematch. And but then GSP comes in and he says he would relinquish his title belt just so that he could fight Nick Diaz and give him the worst beating he's ever had in his life. And so that's what I was looking for. I've been looking for GSP to fight Nick Diaz. I think Nick Diaz would lose, but I think it would still be a good fight. So it's something I wanted to see. And then 5 hours later, it comes out that Nick Diaz failed the drug test after the UFC 143 main event for smoking marijuana. It's obviously not a performance enhancer, but it's a banned substance that they test for, so you gotta abide by the rules. And now Nick Diaz wants to retire and all this bullshit, even though he's 28. So that's supposedly your prime. Even though I feel like I'm in my prime 21. I'm not getting any better than this. But so that's the deal with that, and it's a whole sticky situation right now. I'm not sure what's gonna happen with it. I'll keep you posted because Nick Diaz, he's probably gonna go underground and probably won't say much. It'll just be his trainer Cesar Gracie saying what he's thinking. But so that's what's going on with it. It's kind of a crappy situation for all the fans because Nick Diaz, I mean, he's a good fighter, but he doesn't like playing the game, as Dana White says. So that's the situation with that three love triangle. So right now it looks like Carlos Condit might get one more fight before GSP comes back, but if not, I mean, he's just going to wait for GSP to come back, and we'll see what happens with Nick Diaz. I doubt he'll retire. I'm sure he's got some more fights on his contract left. But so that's the whole situation with it right now. Condit's kind of mad at Diaz. Diaz is kind of mad at Condit for not bringing it to him in the fight like he thought he would, kind of backing up. And GSP hates GSP hates Nick Diaz, and Nick Diaz doesn't really hate GSP. He just wants to whoop his ass because he doesn't think he's much of a fighter. But so that's what the situation is with those three little homos, dry humping each other around the ring for 3 rounds. But I'll keep you posted on that. And also later this week, stay tuned. I'm going to post some highlights for the Jake Ellenberger versus Diego Sanchez fight. And this has some definite potential to be awesome. So stay tuned to that. I'll keep some highlights going. And I'll put my predictions on for that fight on Friday or Thursday. Whenever. Just stay tuned. I'll tweet about it. All right, later.